All right, well, a very warm welcome, everyone. Just waiting for folk to join us. A few people still jumping in. Welcome back to our first webinar of 2026. And today's webinar is on engagement diagnostics and looking at why researchers don't show up and what you can do about it. It's going to be interactive as ever. We'll be sharing some useful approaches and tools to help you increase engagement. And I'm Alison Gray. I'm going to be your host today while we're waiting for people to join. Could you please just share with us in the chat box, as today is about engagement, I'd really, really like to know what is your biggest engagement headache? What is it that causes you the biggest challenge with getting researchers or PhD students, academics, or other colleagues to engage with training or meetings or events or other types of events where you're looking for people to engage with you? What is it that you find most challenging? Please do jot in the chat box just as we wait for folk to arrive. Your biggest challenge. I think for me, it's that initial response. Sometimes you feel like you have just said, yeah, yes, show up, exactly. It's that you send it out and it's like, has that gone into a black hole or something like that? There's no radiation from this. There's nothing coming back. Yeah. Sometimes, yeah, on the day, you've got people, it seems that they're engaged, but not engaged enough to actually turn up. Yeah, signing and not turning up. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. People have asked for something specific. You give them that, and then they don't engage with it. They don't turn up for it. Yeah, there's a lot of no-shows on the day. Oh, I totally feel your pain. Um, Signing up for sessions, not attending, requesting specific, yeah. No-shows, drop out last minute. Yeah, yeah. Everyone's kind of like, yes, all of that. No-shows on the day after you've had lots of acceptance. I know, so you think, I've got the right thing. And it does imply that you've got the right topic matter, but when it comes to it, they're not there. Yeah, and not letting you know, not accepting the calendar invitation so you don't know they're coming. Yeah, it sounds like there's some definite similar themes here. Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, I think we've probably got most people here now. So, obviously, this is a webinar, but we do value interactivity, and you've already jumped right into that. And I'm keen to get you involved by sharing your experience and knowledge in the chat box. That's a big part of this, I think, is hearing from each other. So please do use the chat box to ask questions of me or our trainer today. I think we've gathered a bit of pace. So perhaps you could drop into the chat box just to say hello and share what your job title is, just so I've got an understanding of the different roles that you're in, and that might help people kind of place what your context is. Research Development Associate. Well, you will have much experience of engagement issues, I'm sure. And also congratulations, Mark, on being fastest typer first. Hi, Zoe. Hi, Zoe. Great. We've got program manager, events and training coordinator, research culture advisor, researcher developer, whole range. That's lovely. What an amazing mix of people. Fantastic. So welcome, everyone. I think the topic of the webinar and why researchers don't show and what you can do about it is very topical. It feels particularly current and relevant to anyone that has a role that seeks engagement. And we're delighted to have you here today to hear from our fantastic trainer, Jack. So let me start with some introductions. I'm Alison Gray. I'm the founder and director of Skillfluence. My background's in program design, collaboration and commercialization. And I spend a lot of time speaking with universities to understand the challenges that they have around engagement. So let me hand over to Jack to introduce himself.
Thanks, Alison. Hi, my name is Dr. Jack Durant. My background is in music education research, and I've had about a decade now, which is wild that I'm in now double digits of kind of more formalized teaching and training experiences from little ones right the way through to postdoc. Thank you very much, Alison.
Thank you. So, just to give you a little bit of background on Skillfluence, so I started Skillfluence about 10 years ago to work with researchers and academics, and the aim for me was in providing them with the skills, the tools, and the confidence to get their research out into the world and to have real world impact and make a difference with their research, whether that's through engaging with policymakers or collaborating with other researchers or through commercializing their ideas or connecting with industry for their research or career goals. And you can see in the next slide that we've worked with a lot of universities and research centres, more than 100 across the UK and Europe. We've provided training for more than 50,000 PhD students, researchers, academics and professional services staff. And when I first started out designing and delivering training programs, I would put my heart and soul, I still do, but I would put my heart and soul into creating something that would be a brilliant learning experience. And having done that, occasionally, for different reasons, there would be a low turnout on the day. And that is so disheartening. And I know that I know that all of you can feel that pain because I could see it in your kind of responses at the beginning. You know, sometimes it's like you're hosting a party and it's the start of the evening and you're wondering, is anyone going to turn up? And sometimes they don't. And that is a horrible place to be in, where you've got this amazing training that you know would make a really big difference for people, and yet they're not there. So that really started me thinking about, well, if I'm going to deliver training, it can't just be about delivering great training, great content. It's got to be more than that because delivering great training means having the right people and the right number of people in the room. And that really led me to think about how to build engagement well before the programme starts. And that's what we're talking about today. And the challenge has really changed over the years, I think. So it's not a one solution issue. And Jack will talk more about that in a moment. But before I hand over to Jack, let me just share the date of our next webinar in case anyone has to disappear off early. 30th of April, and we will be talking about the well-rounded researcher. And I do this just now, just in case you have to hop away. And maybe, yes, there we go. David is like psychic. He's just shared the link there, just in case you want to get signed up for that now. Okay, I think we're all ready. So I'm going to hand over to my fantastic colleague and Skillfluence trainer, Jack, who's our guest speaker today and is going to share some thoughts and tools. So Jack, over to you.
Thank you very much, Alison. Welcome, everyone, and thank you very much for taking the time to be here with us today to consider to talk about engagement and why researchers don't show up and what you can do about it, most importantly. So the rest of this hour is split up over loosely 3 parts. First and foremost is a little bit of a reality check, in that engagement usually breaks down somewhere between when someone notices the training, they register, when they attend, and when they act. Not necessarily because the content might not be the right fit, but because the offer might not match the right audience, or the right moment, or the audience's priorities at the time, what's in the forefront of their minds. And this session here today focuses on diagnosing where that chain breaks, what that weak link is, so that you can fix it with something practical, with a practical change. And to do that, we have a diagnostic framework for you today called FAST, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. And what this framework does is it helps you to quickly locate where that weak link in that chain is, whether it's something with friction, the audience, the stakes, or the trigger. And we'll use a little bit of interactivity, I think, to identify some of our primary bottlenecks here today. And then the third part is, what do you then do about it? If you know where the weak link is in the chain, what do we then do? Once that bottleneck is clear, you'll be able to choose a small set of targeted tactics, if you like, to turn them into testable, engagement experiments that you can run in the next 3 weeks, right? Or whenever your next training happens to be. And what you'll leave here today with is a simple experiment plan, if you like, and some clear measure of success. So to start us off, I would like to put us, I'd like to be empathetic, I suppose, a little bit. And I want to start with your experience. If you were in those researcher shoes, if you were in the postdoc shoes, the PhD student, what have you, what makes training attractive to you? When have you seen something and gone, yes, I definitely need to sign up to that. That is worth my time. What makes training attractive to you? What's going to hold your attention? What's going to get you to engage? I think for me, I might start with the inverse. And my brain immediately went to, well, what's not attractive? Yeah, the name, absolutely, Shilpa. The name can carry a lot of weight. It's the first thing we see. It's the first thing our eyes typically glance towards. And if we don't get that bit right, yeah, that can put a lot of people off. If you don't think it's right for you, absolutely, yeah, a couple sentences. Again, this is the introduction, right? This is the first you've heard about it. And if you don't get that first impression, right, absolutely. Relevant topic title, yeah, absolutely. Relevancy is a big one. It may sound amazing, but if it's nothing to do with you, if it doesn't mean anything to you, yeah, it's gonna be difficult to prioritize that and find time for that. Applicability, absolutely, yeah. Can you use this thing, or is it just a bit of a conversation, a bit of an informational piece? Interesting title, yeah, good. Timing, yes, absolutely, Sharifa. I could not agree more. It's almost nothing worse than a great bit of training coming across your way and knowing that you can't go to it. Absolutely. Transferable skills, yeah. Can you apply that thing in different contexts? I like that. Good. Curiosity in the topic, yeah. Is there a spark? Does it spark some kind of interest? Clear objectives or goals, yes, absolutely, Sophie. I could not agree more. Those what is going to happen in that thing? What are you going to leave with? Really big questions. Delivery format, yeah, absolutely, Karen. Yeah, COVID has taught us that we can do things virtually, as we are doing so here today, and that is convenient. It's also typically cheaper. However, that can put some people off. Online training presents its own variety of challenges. Okay, good. Okay, I'm seeing a few themes here. I think we're getting into the spirit of this. So I want to start with why. Why is engagement important at all? It almost seems a bit silly, but I want to start with this why, and I want to really highlight this. It is a gateway to impact. If people don't engage, they don't learn. If they don't learn, there's no behavior change. If there's no behavior change, nothing happens, right? There's no measurable outcomes, whether that be better bids, stronger partnerships, clearer impact narratives, improved career progression. It also improves relevance and trust in you and in the training that you're providing. If you can achieve consistent engagement signals that this kind of that your offer fits real needs, like poor engagement, for example, often signals some kind of mismatch, right? The wrong audience, the wrong timing, the wrong format, the wrong priority. And that can erode people's confidence in the provision that we're providing. It supports equity and access. So better designed engagement reduces those sometimes hidden barriers, right? So things like confidence, permission, unclear expectations, as someone pointed out in the chat. And helping a wider range of researchers benefit, not just the most confident or those that already feel well supported. And finally, it gives you evidence to defend and improve provision. Budgets are tight. And if you've got engaged programs and you can generate clearer feedback and clearer metrics, what that does is it makes it easier to justify investment and iterate, if you like, intelligently. Okay, so part one, our reality check. Why is it difficult right now? Why is it difficult this year? And it's the audience. We need to place the audience first. We make sure not to forget the audience. They are the heart of the impact. It is them that we need to change. It's their behavior that makes a difference. It's their hearts and minds that we need to win over. We need to understand what their problems are. So, engagement is not marketing. Real quick reality check. When attendance is low, sometimes we can respond by marketing a little bit harder, marketing a bit more emails, more posts, nice design graphics. And sometimes that will help. Absolutely. It definitely gets their attention, but it's not necessarily the core problem. Marketing will get their attention, yes, but engagement is what gets you action. And in our world, engagement is the whole chain. People need to notice it. They need to register. They need to show up. They need to participate. Everything that you have already done here in this webinar today. And then ideally, apply something afterwards. So when we say engagement is low, we are not diagnosing a communications problem. We are diagnosing a broken link somewhere in that chain. And today, we're going to find out which link is breaking most often and try and fix that with some small testable changes. And here is the simplest way to think about engagement in research and development. We can improve that by doing three things. First of all, we can reduce the friction, make it easier. So remove anything that makes participation feel costly. So time, admin steps, uncertainty, awkward joining kind of rituals. And the second is relevance, as someone has already highlighted. Make it clearly for this person. You want your audience to read the thing and go, that is for me. That is solving a problem that I recognize. That is going to benefit me in some way. It's going to have applicability in my day-to-day life. It's got some kind of transferable skill. And the third is to create permission, because in universities, time is socially negotiated. People often need some kind of signal that it's legitimate. It's okay to prioritize this, maybe from a PI or a program lead, a doctoral college, or even just like a strong kind of norm. Like, it's okay if you turn up and your camera's off. Speaking only in the chat box is absolutely fine. Just those little kind of permission pieces. If we miss some of these, miss any one of these, we can have brilliant content and still get poor uptake. We can become the university's best kept training secret, right? So there, in practice, low engagement usually comes from one of these three failure modes. First is the wrong audience. If we invite everybody, nobody feels it's for them. Or maybe the messaging is pitched at the wrong level. So it might attract the wrong mix. Secondly, could just be the wrong timing. As someone's already pointed out, even a great topic loses if it doesn't match what is urgent in the next couple of weeks. Deadlines, lecturing, teaching, supervision meetings, review cycles, hiring windows. And thirdly, it's the wrong job to be done. So this one is a little bit more subtle. The training is solving a different problem than the one they're trying to solve right now. For example, perhaps we offer something like networking skills, but what someone's actually looking for is they want to do some outreach to try and pin down a commercial project. Maybe we offer some kind of impact training, but what they really need is support for grant writing applications by Friday. It's just not the thing right now, even though it might be beneficial for them in other aspects. So our goal isn't necessarily to make things more exciting, although excitement helps. Our goal is to figure out what is happening, which of these is happening, and then design a small fix. So, quick pulse check before we move on. In the chat, A, M, or J, what kind of failure mode do you think shows up most for you? So A, if you think it's the wrong audience, M, if you just think it's the wrong moment, or J, if it's the wrong kind of job to be done right now. Don't overthink it too much. Just what you see most often in your context. M or J, yeah. Okay. Lovely. Moment, yeah, interesting. I'm seeing a lot of moments. Wrong job. Good. Okay. We feel pretty confident in our audience. Good. Lots of moments, some jobs to be done. Okay. That's good to know. Brilliant. Okay. Brilliant. Okay. Thank you very much. Could we maybe expand on that just a little bit? So maybe if you've just got time, maybe just 3 to 5 words, right? So if moment is your kind of failure mode that you're noticing most often, what about it? Is it too far from deadlines, perhaps? Give me just a little bit more detail. Lisa, current climate. Yeah, yes, it is. Absolutely. Very fluid at the moment. Fitting in with busy teaching workload. Yeah, absolutely. I'm yet to meet a researcher that has too much time. And so trying to compete with their priorities is difficult. Yeah, workload. Yeah, absolutely. Clashes with other commitments. Yeah, absolutely. Good. Okay, yeah, this is making a lot of sense. Seems there's never a right time. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I could not agree more. Good. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. So just a quick little recap. Engagement is not marketing. You can market hard, you can be exciting, but that doesn't necessarily correlate to engagement. It's important to reduce the friction, make it easier for people to turn up, increase the relevance, make it clear and obvious why it's going to benefit them, and give them permission to be there. And if you're experiencing lower uptake, typically we're looking at either the wrong audience, the wrong moment, or the wrong job to be done. So now we are going to get practical. To diagnose engagement quickly, I have a little framework here for you today to use in your daily engagement efforts. And that diagnostic tool is called FAST. So we have friction, as I've mentioned before, we've had audience, we've got stakes, and we have trigger. Now, the point of this is not to redesign everything. Like researchers, I don't suspect anyone in this room has a bunch of free time to start completely ripping up their methods and their processes and building everything from scratch. The point is to spot the bottleneck, which I think we've got a sense of already, which is great. And then choose a targeted fix and test it. A bit like driving, right? Small corrections. So let's start off with F, friction. So think time, think effort, think risk. Friction is anything that makes participation feel costly. Extra steps, unclear value, really long durations, awkward timings, maybe some fear that it might be a little bit generic. If people like the idea but don't register, or register but don't show, friction typically is then the culprit. Next is audience. Audience is about fit and targeting. If the invite is too broad, you may end up with people assuming that training isn't for them. That training's for someone else. And even if the offer is perfect, if it's maybe sent through the wrong channels, the right people are just not going to see it. Next is stakes. Stakes is the reason someone chooses this thing over everything else on their plate. We've been you've already mentioned like competing priorities, trying to fit your offer into busy workloads, busy teaching schedules, and so on. And So stakes is not just useful, it's useful right now. Stakes is usually strongest when it's tied to a real moment, a real thing. So some kind of deadline, an upcoming meeting, a review cycle, a decision, something along those lines. And finally, we have trigger. And triggers are the prompts, they are the cues. People don't necessarily often say no. Sometimes people just forget, especially when you have big workloads, competing priorities. Some things just do fall by the wayside. And so triggers can help with this. Triggers include reminder sequences and calendar holds and email, trusted forwards, messages that appear where people actually work, where they're actually going to see it. Anything that's going to prompt, if you like, draw trigger. It's the term. So, quick check in the chat. Can we give me an F, A, S, or T? Whichever feels like your biggest engagement issue right now. It doesn't have to be a perfect answer. You don't need to have any loads of evidence to back this up. You can go with your gut feeling. That's absolutely fine. So is it friction? Is it audience, stakes, or triggers? Stakes, yeah. The moment we had all those moments earlier in competing priorities and workloads, I could feel that was going to be the bottleneck for some of us here. Yeah, absolutely. I can show you that friction slide again. Yeah, so anything that kind of gets in the way, right? Anything that stops it feeling easy for someone to join. Yeah, we're getting a little bit more of a mix now. We had a lot of S's to begin with, a little bit of friction as well, but mostly stakes. Interesting. Good to know. Okay, great. So let's take that one step further. In the chat, can you just drop one barrier that you face? Like 20 words, roughly. Something you've seen repeatedly, no shows, poor signups, that kind of thing, low follow through, whatever it happens to be. As they come in, I'm gonna use them and cluster them into fast a little bit if I can. Just curious to see what patterns. I've already got an idea that we might be leaning towards stakes, but I'm curious. No shows, yeah. Last minute cancellations, yeah, absolutely. Good registration, low turnout, yeah, that's a real common one. See that one a lot. Absolutely good. Conflicting interests. Okay, interesting. Low follow through despite targeted outreach. That's an interesting one. Good. Last minute cancellations. Yes, absolutely. No shows in person or online. Yeah, absolutely. I've seen many a research developer send some angry emails when people don't show up. Yeah, absolutely. Good. Yeah, okay. So if I had to kind of name the dominant bottleneck, just from what I'm seeing here in the chat, from what you've shared, it looks like kind of no shows and last minute cancellations. Okay, maybe with some kind of low registration and low follow through as a bit of a close second. Okay, let's see what we can do about that. So, all right, this is your intervention menu, if you like. Shouldn't be using that word so close to lunch. So the purpose is simple. Once you've identified your bottleneck using that framework, using that FAST framework, like I said earlier, you don't need a full redesign. You don't have to break everything apart and rebuild everything. You can do one small little change, something that you can test. Now, it seems to me that stakes seems to be the most dominant, with maybe friction as a bit of a close second. So I think what I'll do is I'll start with stakes and we'll go from there. And I'll talk on the others as well, but I'll start with stakes. So stakes are what makes the thing worth it right now. This is the why right now, not just why, but why right now. Even a really brilliant offer can get deprioritized if it's not urgent. So what we can do is we can convert the topic into a task. So instead of just saying networking, this is networking training of some description, because that feels a little bit abstract, maybe a little bit unclear, maybe not as targeted in its messaging. It can be, you can highlight things like you are going to be drafting, outreach messages that you can send today. You can create some kind of early payoff. So you can say, right, the first usable output is going to be in the first 30 minutes. You're going to be able to do this within 1 hour. And it really kind of put those quantifiers, make it very, very clear, make that offer very clear and targeted very quickly. And then actually do it. You then have to deliver it. That's then the hard part. If you're gonna make that offer, obviously you've got to keep that trust up and actually follow through with what you're offering. And we also have this try first for stakes. So it's just a small change that you can make, and it's just change the title, change that title to that task, and see how that compares in your registrations. Stakes is usually the lever when people go, oh, that sounds useful, but they never quite get around to it. Now, I think friction was probably our second most popular, so I'll move over to that one. Friction, like I said, is about making it easier, making it lower effort, more streamlined for someone to join, maybe lower the risk for them to join. And what we can do, some interventions we can have is oh, sorry, Helen, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Can I give an example of changing title to a task? Yeah, not a problem. So the example I used earlier was, instead of something like networking, you could say, this training is all about giving you a simple template to draft some outreach messages, so that you've got something you can kind of use and reuse, kind of copy and paste, right? So instead of networking, be like, this is on drafting outreach messages, for example. Making that it's all about making that offering, the benefit to the participant, a little bit clearer from the get-go. Does that make sense? If not, that's absolutely fine. I have a tendency to waffle, so wouldn't be the first time. So friction. Where was I? Yeah. So what you can do is you can make it more obvious. Very similarly to stakes, you can lead with something like, you will leave with X. This is the output of the thing, right? This is the benefit. This is the thing that you will get by being here. This is the thing that you can use from being in that room for that time, and make it clear who it is for. If people can't see the payoff very clearly, or the payoff instantly, dare I say, there is the risk that offering is maybe assumed to be a little bit more generic. Wherever possible, try and remove admin. So aim for things like one-click registrations, automatic calendar invites, and making sure that the link is everywhere, so nobody has to go around hunting for it, right? The less steps involved in getting someone from noticing the offering to being in that room, virtually or physically, the better. And so one intervention we can do is lowering that pressure as well. So explicitly saying things like, chat only is welcome, if we're talking about online training. Permission to pass, maybe permission to drop in. If that's something you're okay to do, then do it, right? Those little permission pieces can lower the pressure and just maybe alleviate some of that uncertainty in someone's mind. And that tiny line, can increase participation. It can help reduce no-shows. It's one little intervention that you can test. So if friction is your bottleneck, the quickest thing you can do is just leave with X type thing, right? This is what you're going to leave with, and see if that tracks whether registrations improve or not. Lisa, I understand that it's important to lower friction, but without any consequences. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, there is a balance there to be had, and I think it's important that you highlight that. To simply not turn up to an event, though you have it in your diary. What's my thoughts? Yeah, it's a good question. I think every institution is different, right? And so it's difficult to offer a generalized answer. I think at that point, if you're having issues with people committing to a thing and not showing up, there's two kind of real paths I would offer. First and foremost is try some of the interventions that we're offering here today. See what you can do to reduce the friction, see what you can do to kind of make that offering a little bit more attractive, let's say. That's the carrot end, right? The stick end of this would be I would then speak internally and I would ask questions like, well, what is the process on this, right? What are the consequences for this? Are there any at all? And kind of just raise that if that is an issue, despite how attractive your offering might be, maybe you're still getting these no-shows, these last-minute cancellations. It might be worth just flagging that internally to make people aware that that is a bit of an issue that you're facing. As far as specific institutions go, I can't talk more on that, but carrot and stick, I'd always start with carrot though. That's just me personally. Okay, so we have our audience. So this is usually about fit. So for all researchers can be read as, oh, that's for someone else, right? So something that we can do is we can narrow that who a little bit. We can choose some kind of primary segment. For example, it could be, postdocs applying this term, PGRs that are currently writing up, new PIs that are looking to build partnerships, right? Something else we can do is we can add a bit of a filter. So we can say things like, this is for you if, and give them 3 bullet points, right? This is for you if you're looking to increase your confidence in interdisciplinary teams. This is for you if you're looking to explore, commercialization pathways, and so on. And so what you're doing is you're attracting the kind of audience that wants the thing that you're trying to offer. Very simple, but it makes it really, really clear from that outset. And one thing we can do is we can just test it. We can the kind of like try it first thing here is you can split invites by segment, same session, 2 versions of it. Compare attendance, you can compare relevance. You can try adding a filter and just gauge it, right? Gauge your signups, gauge your no-shows, some kind of give yourself some kind of metric. Okay. I'm just reading the chat here. Amber, I sometimes make it harder to join. Yes, absolutely. So researchers have to make some effort to get on there. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, basic supply and demand, right? So if people think a thing is exclusive, so sometimes limiting numbers can be a real powerful tool. So if you say, okay, here's this training, here's what you'll leave with, it's going to be amazing for you if you're in this situation. There's 15 places. Immediately that puts a little bit of supply and demand, isn't it, really? It's this idea that it's limited, right? If I wait too long, I may not get the place. My invitation might go. So yeah, absolutely, I agree that can be a really powerful tool. Wonderful, thank you. Good. All right, which one have I missed? I've missed one of them. Triggers. There we go. So triggers. Think prompts, think cues, that kind of thing. This is kind of the I meant to come but I forgot kind of category, right? What you can do is you can have a bit of a 3-touch sequence. So you have your invite, you have your reminder, and then maybe the day off, or maybe day before if it's a morning thing, right? So real simple, clear process to follow. Hey, you're invited to this thing. Maybe there's only 15 places. A week before, hey, don't forget this thing. It's going to be on this day in this room, or here's the invite link. Here's the joining link again. And then maybe either on the day, or if it's a morning thing, maybe just the day before, go, hey, really looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Even simple little language changes like that can make a difference. Good. You can make your calendar do the work for you. So like time holds, things like that, reminders, and just plastering that joining link if you're using one absolutely everywhere. One little intervention you can try is just a little day of, or maybe day before, kind of nudge with that joining link, and see if that tracks against any kind of attendance lift. Does reminding people the day before actually make a difference to your cohorts? Does reminding people, sending an email, scheduling an email for 9 a.m. that morning, does that make a difference? So trigger is often the highest ROI fix because it's quick, it's repeatable, and you don't need to change anything, right? There's no content that's being changed here. Okay, so just a quick little recap. Diagnose first, then intervene. Work out what hypothesize on what your bottleneck is, what the issue is, then intervene. Small changes are really, really, really helpful. They typically beat full redesigns because we've got a system, it works, but maybe it's not at its peak efficiency. So small correction, right? Little kind of twist on the steering wheel there. And pick a measurable tactic to test. Give yourself some kind of metric to hold yourself like accountable, really, and go, right, does this work? Yes or no? Just having a look at the chat. Let's have a look. Reminder day before in last minute cancellations. Yeah, absolutely. If you're getting a lot of last minutes, tell them the day before. Absolutely. If it's a 9 a.m. start, tell them the day before. Absolutely. Good. Yeah, Lisa, personalized email also helps. It can. Yeah, absolutely. If obviously it's more helpful with smaller cohorts, right? If you're dealing with 30, 40, 60 at a time, that can get very time consuming very, very quickly. Absolutely. But yeah, a little bit of personalization can go a long way in feeling as though that offer is for that person. Like it's them that are being thought of in that moment. Yeah, really good comment. Thank you. Okay. So, oh yes, Jenny, really good comment. I've just spotted that. I was just about to start, but you made a really good point. Endorsements, absolutely. Especially if we're talking in terms of like PGRs and things like that. Having their supervisor or their PI to kind of almost, if you can leverage them to kind of give you a little bit of permission and go, hey, this is a cool thing, go and do it, right? If you can get them on the side, you can then get your audience in that door a little bit quicker because that PGR or PhD student or what have you then feels as though, oh, I'm allowed to do this, right? I'm allowed to spend time on this. My supervisor thinks it's a good use of my time. They know what they're talking about, so I'll do it, right? So it's again getting that motivation to get them in the door. Really, really great comment. I love that, Jenny. Thank you very much for that. So instead of endless debates, what you can do is run some fast and cheap tests, fast and cheap experiments. Small changes that cost absolutely or almost nothing, maybe just a little bit of time, and give you a clear learning within a couple of weeks. So fast being something that you could design today in 30 minutes, something you could run maybe in the next couple of weeks or whenever your next training offering is coming up. And by cheap, I mean minimal time, minimal admin, maybe uses channels that you already have or no new tech, that kind of thing. And obviously, if it's a test, there is some kind of clear measure. So think things like registrations, attendance, participation. If you can, follow through is a really great one, but that is a hard one to pin down. So this is a slide on validation. And we're kind of here on the left, right? We're going, I think this is the issue. This is my best guess on what I think my bottleneck is, right? People are, not showing up. People are canceling at the last minute. So what do we then do? We can enter this little process of validation where we plan, we study, we do, and we act. So we go, okay, this is the issue. Let's do something about that. Let's go and do that thing. Okay, what happened? What are the results? And we can keep repeating these cycles until we kind of push towards something that's a bit more proven. And this learning cycle does not have to be really big and really long and take years and years and years. The quickest benefits you're going to see is by doing small ones, really little things, small, multiple, fast learning loops, multiple iterations of gathering a little bit of evidence and going, okay, that worked. Okay, that didn't. Right, so that works, that doesn't. Let's change that. Let's do more of that. Let's do less of that, and so on and so forth. And so I just want to take a brief moment to just talk about planning and experimentation just a little bit more broadly. And when we know the characteristics of a thing, planning is very useful, right? Planning is good when you're cooking a recipe. If you've cooked that recipe 100 times before, you know what to do, you know what ingredients to get and what measurements and so on and so forth. Planning is not very good if you're cooking with ingredients that you just like know the name of, right? If you want to get more information faster and reduce that uncertainty, experiment, 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 experiment. It might go wrong, and that's okay. You're going to learn something. I'm not saying don't plan ever or at all. There is absolutely a time for planning. However, you can't plan away something you don't know. You can't plan away uncertainty. You can plan when you have more of a reasonable level of uncertainty. And so we move on to a little bit of an experiment builder. It's really simple. It's kind of if we X, then Y because Z, right? If we implement some kind of solution, then this positive change is going to happen because of yada, yada, yada. For example, if we streamline registration admin, we remove some of the barriers, right? One click, calendar invite goes in the diary, an email gets scheduled to them a week before, a day before to remind them. Then I hypothesize, then registrations will increase because that process is simpler, because that process is quicker. This is the structure. I think what I'd like us to do is to just choose some kind of lever. So it's one of our some kind of fast solution and turn that into some kind of fast, cheap test just with one kind of measure. And I'm happy to kind of flick back to that slide if you'd like. But my question for you is this: in the chat, what is one experiment that you could try and run this week? Maybe this month, if we've not got any training in the next couple of weeks. Maybe I might extend that out. I'm feeling generous because it's nearly lunchtime. If we implement some kind of solution, what happens and what's the rationale? I'll go back to my example. If we streamline registration admin, registrations are going to increase because the process is simpler, process is quicker. So based on that, what's one fast and cheap experiment that you could run this week? Mark, that was very quick. Thank you very much. If we reduce the length of sessions, then researchers will be more likely to attend because they're more likely to fit it into their schedule. Absolutely. Don't get me wrong, retreats are great, and long training definitely has its benefits. However, if you're struggling to get people in the door with those long sessions, yeah, try it out. See if multiple shorter sessions work. Maybe even just splitting it up, right? So instead of having a full day of training, have 2 half days, for example. Great, I love that. If we offer a completion certificate, then we'll get more training completion because researchers see this as being something they can add to their CV, LinkedIn. Yeah, absolutely. It's just one other kind of feather in the cap, isn't it? Something to be like, hey, I did this. This is something that I achieved. Really great. Some institutions I think even have kind of their own internal versions of this, and if you don't, maybe that's something you could push. Love that. Absolutely love that. So I'm liking these little experiments. If we implement some kind of solution, what's the positive change? Because of what? Absolutely loving these. Let's see if we can have maybe just one more. I'll go back to my example in case you want a little bit of inspiration. What's one thing you could change? What might be the benefit of that change? Karen, thank you. Okay, we usually open to as big an audience as we can to increase attendees. Yeah, okay. Absolutely. I can get behind that. But if we make the audience more specific, as in not just for all PGRs or all researchers or all ECRs and so on and so forth, and you target it, it might improve as it's actually less generic. Yeah, absolutely. There is nothing wrong, I suppose, with opening training offerings out to all researchers, so long as you can put some kind of filter on there. So long as you can say, this is going to be incredible training and incredibly useful for you if. This is going to be great training if, I don't know, if you're looking to build collaborative R&D projects. This is going to be incredible training for you, and you're going to find this massively useful if you are looking to connect more with potential industrial stakeholders. Whatever. Great. Absolutely. I could not agree more. Thank you very much for that, Karen. Okay. So to summarize, first and foremost, we had a look at our little bit of reality check. Why? Why is engagement difficult right now? Why is it difficult this year? And then we had a look at our diagnostic framework, our FAST framework, to quickly locate that weak link in the chain. So friction, audience, stakes, trigger. And then we had a little look at fast and cheap experiments, some kind of interventions that we can put in place, experiments that we can carry out to test our hypotheses. So just to wrap things up, what is one thing you've picked up from today? It could be a framework, it could be a test that you wanna carry out, it could be a silly quote that I've probably already forgotten about, it could be an example, anything at all. Could be something maybe that someone's offered in the chat. What is one thing that you've picked up from today's session? Mark, I like the idea of these short, sharp experiments. Yeah, great. Absolutely. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Presumably you only want to implement one at a time. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I would say that's up to you. If you open yourself up to not necessarily getting kind of correlating information, because maybe you're doing two things and one of them is making a really big difference and one of them is doing absolutely nothing, but maybe you won't notice because overall, say, you know, attendance has increased, no shows have gone down, so on and so forth. Number two, how is best to evaluate the results of adding experiment without adding too much admin? Yeah, absolutely. I would use the metrics that are already available to you, or I would use the metrics that you want to change. So if your issue is people just aren't signing up, that's the metric I would focus on. And it's really, you know, signing up, numbers, participant lists, real quick, easy, just summarize, you know, add them all up on Excel. If it's like, say, last minute cancellations, track them as they come in, post-it note on your laptop and go, okay, for this training, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, tally that up as the emails come in or what have you. And then carry out your test and go, okay, how many was it this time? Was it more? Was it less? Was it about the same? That kind of thing. I hope that answers your questions, Mark. Question. I tell you what, I'm going to move over to our question slide. We're getting in on this. Okay, Lisa. Question. We're part of a large devolved institution and therefore rely on other people to send out our events pre-program. Any suggestions? Yeah, really great question. Okay. So if it's other people that sends out your events and events program, I would try and get in on that design process as much as you can. So I'm not fully aware of what the responsibilities might be, but whatever influence you can have, even if it's just on like the title, even if the events are fixed, maybe you can be like, okay, can we add this to the offering because it's going to help people turn up, you know, just 2 or 3 bullet points, right, in the description. This is going to be great for you if bam, 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 bam. Any kind of influence you can have, I would leverage that to the best of my ability. You like the fast framework? Yeah, brilliant. Good. Yes, good. I'm seeing fast framework come up a lot. Wonderful. Good, good, good. Okay. Lovely. All righty then. On that note, I am and always will be Jacques Durant. Thank you very much for being here today with us. I'm now going to pass back to Alison just to wrap up today's webinar. Thank you very much once again. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, brilliant, Jack. Thank you so much. That was super. I love the FAST framework. So good to get and very valuable. And certainly got plenty of engagement from all of you. I wish that at your next workshop that you're running, you get such a great and engaged audience as you've been for us today. It's been really brilliant. And I really like this idea of fast and cheap experiments, just trying things out, tweaks and changes just to see what works. A slightly new approach, and there's already some suggestions in there of what you might do. So well done, and fantastic in the chat box. Some very fast typers out there. Well done, you. Here's our information for our next webinar. We're going to be talking about the well-rounded researcher. It's on the 30th of April at 12 noon to 1 p.m. We'll share more about it as we get closer to the time, but for now, please do register and get the date in your diary if it sounds of interest. And of course, once you're registered, we always send out the recording as well. And I just want to say a big thank you to Jack. That was a really excellent session. Lots of takeaways and foods for thought. Thank you very much for everyone joining us today, for your engagement. That's been really brilliant. Been lovely to see some familiar faces. I put faces in inverted commas, but and lots of new people as well. So some new names there. Great to have you all here. Hope you can make it back to the next one. Please do feel free to connect with me and Jack on LinkedIn or follow Skillfluence on LinkedIn to see what we're up to. And great to connect with you here today. I hope that's sparked some ideas for you around engaging researchers, and I will look forward to seeing you all at the webinar in April. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks very much.